detections from at least a few locations. And so in this video, let's briefly talk about ball lightning. Let's talk about this video from Alberta, and I guess just to spoil it for you, unfortunately, it's most likely not ball lightning. And so what you're seeing here is most likely a slightly different phenomenon. But here I'll explain to you why, and we'll show you some additional examples filmed by various people. And well, the first thing that you'll notice in this particular video is that this object is unusually bright, very blue, and most importantly, extremely large. Which kind of goes against most of the observations reported over the years, mostly because previously observed ball lightnings have always been much smaller, usually just the size of a ball, and very often very different in color. A lot of the descriptions usually contain a multicolored, evenly lit ball, only a few centimeters across, and very often yellowish or reddish in color. And it's really the color in this case that can tell us a lot about what's happening. And that's because when you have something that's red, orange, or yellow, and something that's extremely bright and extremely hot, we can potentially make an assumption what it's made out of. In this case, it seems to be some kind of an ionized element that's producing these colors. And that's because here it's assumed to be the result of ionization. There's a very similar phenomenon, although not exactly the same phenomenon, known as the San Elmo's fire. And in this case, this particular phenomenon very often produces fire of very specific color. And that's because here, extremely electric conditions ionize the molecules of air, causing nitrogen and oxygen to fluoresce in this blue or violet light. But based on a lot of reports of ball lightning, and also based on some of the previous experiments, in many cases the color was a little bit different, or usually actually very different. And so before we continue, let's maybe discuss some of the proposed ideas on how this potentially works, and of course the experiments from the last 10 years that try to recreate this. Now, first of all, when it comes to explaining this, there are a lot of different ideas, and technically none of them are accepted by everyone. But generally, most of the theories explain this as either some kind of an electromagnetic radiation or some kind of a plasma bubble, although some of the more exotic theories even try to explain this as maybe some kind of a micro black hole. That one we're not really going to discuss. But one of the most accepted ideas is known as the silicon hypothesis. And here, according to this idea, when the lightning strikes the ground, especially soil extremely rich in silicon, it sort of creates a chemical reaction that then combines silicon with oxygen and carbon, resulting in an extremely hot, fiery ball, which might appear yellowish, reddish, or orangish in color. And several high-voltage experiments, especially the one from Brazil, seem to be able to recreate this in the lab. In other words, the explanation in this case suggests that as the lightning strikes the ground, it basically ionizes a lot of the molecules and creates this hot glowing ball of a lot of stuff formed as a result of a sudden chemical reaction inside the soil. And because this is an exothermic reaction, it usually ignites, produces light, but then also forms a ball disconnected from the ground. And something similar has been proposed with ball lightnings of other colors. But in this case, lightning can also strike ground extremely rich in metallic compounds, for example, aluminium. And so in this case, a lot of these metals become extremely hot, they then get ejected, aerosolized, and ignite, forming an unusual vortex that then turns into a ball. And so in some sense, this is comparable to a mushroom cloud formed from an explosion, except that in this case, this is extremely hot metals, or possibly some other elements. And though some of this has been recreated in a lab, it doesn't seem to form exactly similar phenomena, and the ball lightning in this case only lasts for an extremely short time. And so additional theories propose that maybe this is also the result of some kind of a plasma, or ionized gas, that seems to form as a result of a lightning strike and then persists for a very short time. Here, though, the explanation is really more theoretical, and unfortunately we don't really have actual evidence or actual experiments. But we do have experiments in regards to another hypothesis, microwave radiation. Or basically, if you have microwave radiation trapped inside some kind of a plasma bubble, it might actually form something very similar and something extremely bright. And here's a visual representation from an experiment by the scientists from the Max Planck Institute. where they were able to produce something very similar to the ball lightning by discharging a high voltage capacitor inside a tank of water. And so here the hypothesis would be that, I guess, this would be some kind of a lightning strike near a body of water that might produce very similar effects. But in general, over the years, there's been quite a few different explanations and a lot of different attempts to recreate this, but generally no conclusive evidence or no one hypothesis that everyone would accept. Although, as I mentioned before, that burning molten metallic sphere hypothesis, or the silicon hypothesis, seems to be the one that makes the most sense. But one of the major breakthroughs came in 2014. Here we had a study from China, and a study that, as always, you can find in a description, where completely by accident, on July of 2012, researchers filmed what seemed to be a natural ball of lightning made by chance during the study on the Tibetan plateau. And so here, at a distance of 900 meters, for approximately 1.6 seconds, researchers recorded this. Now this is in slow motion, but essentially it shows us what seems to be a ball lightning formed after an ordinary lightning strike and then recorded with extremely high-speed cameras at 3000 frames per second. But here what was really important is the fact that they were also able to measure the spectroscopy of this particular event. In other words, they were able to determine the emission lines and what this thing is made out of. Turns out it's made out of silicon, calcium, iron, nitrogen, and oxygen, and it was extremely different from the parent lightning, which only contained ionized nitrogen. And more importantly, it seemed to be extremely similar to the soil nearby. And so here this was a confirmation that the ball lightning seems to be formed from the soil beneath it, and very likely as a result of some kind of an ionization or formation of plasma from various elements underneath. Which would actually explain why in many cases ball lightning is also followed by very specific smells, usually sulfur or nitrogen oxide. As a matter of fact, these unusual smell reports have been reported in almost every case, even going back to the original account or the original report from 1195 by an English monk. This is actually the first known account of ball lightning mentioned anywhere. But unlike previous reports, something else really important was discovered in that 2014 study from China. Here, first of all, this ball lightning traveled horizontally across the frame at approximately 8.6 meters per second, 28 feet per second. But it was also oscillating, or basically the oxygen and nitrogen emissions were producing a very specific frequency. In this case, the frequency was approximately 100 Hz, which is really strange because it also happened very close to the power transmission lines, which have a frequency of 50 Hz in China. And that's a really important observation because in many cases, ball lightnings have always been reported very close to various transmission lines. And so a lot of data from this observation suggested something very similar. This was a plasma event involving vaporization of soil, and the produced ball lightning was sensitive to electric fields. It was also assessed to be not as hot as the lightning itself, and only lasted for 1.5 seconds. And well, as of today, this 2014 study is still really the only study we have involving an actual ball lightning and a very specific observation and explanation of what's probably happening here. But following all of this, let's go back to that original video and let's discuss why it's probably not ball lightning. Although first I actually wanted to show you something a little bit different, something that actually even made me question this idea to begin with. And that's because back in 2020, the German news agency DW talked about this video that also went viral a few years back. And intriguingly, this particular ball lightning appeared to be very similar to what was observed in Alberta, except that in this case, it was officially confirmed to be fake and was basically produced using computer animation. Which is kind of why a lot of people on the internet started to claim that maybe this is also fake. But honestly, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty convinced that it's not fake, except that it's also not ball lightning. And there's a really important reason why I think so, and it goes back to the color and the size of this object. As I mentioned previously, pretty much most of the ball lightning reports involved objects much smaller, and as I mentioned, in different color. But as you can see here, this is a huge object. It seems to be as big as a tree, and it seems to be bright blue in color. And there's actually maybe one thing that tends to produce this color, especially when it comes to lightning. This blue-white coloration is very likely the result of aluminium, and a lot of aluminium. And where do we find aluminium? Well, very often inside transmission lines. As a matter of fact, additional reports from this event suggest that there is actually a power line running through this location, and very likely exactly where this event is happening. But it's also the end of this event that kind of gives it away. Watch this. See how it just disappears? Well, this is something you can easily find on YouTube if you look up something referred to as electric power lines arc. Now here's one video I found very easily by HBO Jane that shows you one of these bizarre effects running along the power lines. And this is actually something that happens quite frequently. As a matter of fact, there are so many of these electric arc videos out there that we know that this is not a rare phenomenon at all. And in some cases, these arcs can easily travel down the line, producing enormously bright objects that do appear spherical in shape, and they almost always end in a very similar way as observed in this video. Here's actually one of many examples I found on the web, with a link you can find in the description. And so what does look like some kind of a ball lightning is really more of an electrical effect produced by the power lines themselves. And so this is extremely likely what we're seeing here as well. Not necessarily ball lightning, but an arcing power line that seems to be producing these very bright emissions. But the only way to, I guess, prove this officially is to basically confirm that there is a power line in this location. In this video, it's kind of difficult to tell. But honestly, even though the ball lightning has been reported for so many years, it's still super mysterious, and it's very likely going to remain mysterious for one very important reason. This is a lightning event, and today, based on the way we design cities, we do have a lot of electric infrastructure that prevent lightning from striking the ground and prevent it from producing these soil-based effects. And so because today in most cities pretty much everything is grounded and protected from lightning strikes, it's still going to be very difficult to see this unless you're somewhere in the outskirts, in a location where lightning strikes are pretty common. But before we finish, it's also important to understand that this is an extremely important phenomenon to study, mostly because we know that it's also kind of dangerous. As a matter of fact, one of the earliest records of someone getting killed by this is from 18th century. This was George Rickman, who was potentially killed by what seemed to be ball lightning. And because it's also been reported that this phenomenon can easily pass through wood, metal, or even glass, naturally it's kind of important to understand what kind of a damage this can cause to modern infrastructure. And
There are a lot of people that are addicted to AI now. It's crazy.
I've developed an addiction to AI. My AI is actually on my best friends list.
If you're anything like me, you use ChatGPT for everything. ChatGPT.
There are a lot of people that are addicted to AI now. It's crazy.
I've developed an addiction to AI. My AI is actually on my best friends list.
If you're anything like me, you use ChatGPT for everything. ChatGPT is my counselor, my therapist, my best friend.
She got a bird. Yeah, that's about right. This is one thing, bro. I've been so fucking tired of this. So let's get into it.
Oh, this is life. What a beautiful moment.
Oh,
Fuck. Please don't tell me I have to go to another funeral.
Quite the contrary. What about an adventure?
Nope. What?
Please don't hang up. I'm the woman you keep staring during the whole DUI meeting.
Oh, I can't help myself when I see
my
a gorgeous woman.
Yeah. Cut the bullshit. I'm calling you because I need your help. In the meeting, you told that you used to be in the military, right?
Not
Oh,
only
God.
in the military, I was a ranger, and that always attract women. Am I right?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I need a favor from you, but please don't ask why.
Wait, give me a second.
What the fuck?
Okay, continue.
I need you to smuggle me out of the U. U.S. I already have
Oh,
one of my
shit.
guys going to pick you up in a purple van. And one more thing, the feds are looking for me everywhere.
I'm
wow.
too high and too old for this shit. I'm sorry, lady, but I'm not doing shit.
I will have sex with you.
Wait, what?
If you do this for me, I will sleep with you.
What's the color of the van again?
Purple, the van is purple.
That's 110710. Yes, sir, and they have a
Alright.
door stop at 10th and Grant. You
Fuck.
might be there for
The feds were listening the whole time. They will come for you. Move fast.
I'm on my way.
I'm on.
Charlie, bring the guns from downstairs and meet me at the door.
Okay, Grandpa.
Grandpa is fucking tonight.
Oh my god.
Listen very closely what I'm about to tell you, turd. Tonight needs to go perfect just like your grandma titties. grab that shotgun and kill all the pigs you see, your grandpa needs some pussy back in his life.
Oh,
What
wow,
the
Grandpa.
fuck? Wait, I'm
Back in his life.
Oh,
What
wow,
the
Grandpa.
fuck? Wait, I'm in the game, I'm pretty sure. Oh, I am. Okay, what the hell do I do? Okay, I can zoom in. Oh, fuck.
Shit, the feds are going crazy.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, I can throw a grenade. Shoot the cop. Shoot the cop. There you go. There you go. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna get the right. Oh, I get a weapon. Who's this stupid bitch?
You better fix your shit. The feds are looking for you.
Oh, fuck. I just killed her. All right, Junior, let's go. All right, Junior, let's go.
Come here, Princess.
Oh, fuck. Look at all the cops.
Delicious yummy snack.
Okay, I gotta go maybe this way. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Fuck, I gotta run. I gotta run. I gotta run. Get him, Junior. Get him, Junior. Oh, fuck. Wait, what?
I have some delicious yummy snack.
All right, we're gonna flank him. Let me flank him. Let me flank him. I'm flanking him. Come on, get him. Now. Got him. Nice. Can I get the gun? Bro, I needed that. I needed that gun. Give me a minute. Let me see. Does the other guy have a gun?
Princess.
No, he doesn't. He stole my fucking gun. God damn it. Okay, it was yeah. I got my shit yoinked by Junior. Oh fuck. Bro, let's go, bro. Like. I'm gonna pick this up. Okay. All right. Fuck yeah. Oh, this is great. Okay, let's go. I got a lot of ammo too. Oh, I just realized I have a health bar. Oh shit. Okay. All right, we got him. Big boy got him. Oh, I can't use this. All right, where's that bitch at? So we just have to kill the police. If we see the police, we have to kill them. Just shoot the police. It's on site. Got him. Nice. I'll kill him too. I might as well, right? It's bulletproof. You see that? Okay, let's keep going. Flag is bulletproof. Easy. Got him. See, I just pop him off, bro. I pop him right off. Oh. Do I or not? Damn, bro. He doesn't give a fuck. I can't even kill him. They don't even let me kill the dog. Oh, shit. So this is apparently, she gonna go out and say this shit?
What's up, guys? It's Benny. This has been a practice in how to not handle a scandal inside of the Trump administration with the Epstein files, which were on Pam Bondi's desk and ready to be released, which were so lurid with the base. However, there is an out that is happening right now. In an article that stunned me to my very core, ladies and gentlemen, this shocking exclusive from the Daily Mail: Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, will reveal the truth.
I love how everybody says her name differently. Nobody really knows.
About the pedophile client list, says insiders. Why are Republicans blocking her? My goodness, what is this? Ghislaine Maxwell is willing to speak in front of Congress about the Epstein files, sources tell the Daily Mail. Maxwell, 63, is the only person behind bars, serving 20 years on child sex trafficking charges, despite the fact that Jeffrey Epstein allegedly controlled the web of underage girls. Ghislaine Maxwell is a proxy. Wow. Jeffrey Epstein allegedly controlled the web of underage girls. Ghislaine Maxwell is a proxy for Jeffrey Epstein. She's serving time for his crimes. I'm not saying she's innocent at all. What I'm saying is that Jeffrey Epstein was clearly the mark here, and when he killed himself in prison, then they moved those charges effectively to Ghislaine Maxwell. It's also why so much of the evidence is on lockdown. You must understand, the reason the evidence is on lockdown is that Ghislaine Maxwell is appealing right now, and then that evidence is what's called under seal. I'm not saying that's a great excuse. I'm saying that the federal government needs to explain that to all of us. And then the DOJ needs to push for the release of that evidence. But that's a matter of fact. That's where so much. And then the DOJ needs to push for the release of that evidence. But that's a matter of fact. That's where so much of the evidence actually is. It's under seal in the Southern District of New York, under the control of the Justice Department, litigation pending, right? Additionally, Epstein's victims allegedly were passed around as sex toys to his wealthy friends and billionaire business associates who regularly visited his homes, including his private island. Now, a source says, despite the rumors, Ghislaine has never offered any kind of plea deal. She would be more than happy to sit in front of Congress and tell her story. No one from the government has ever asked her to share what she knows.
I wonder why. Why would it be that nobody from the government wants her to talk about this?
She remains the only person who was jailed in connection to Epstein that would welcome the chance for America to tell the truth.
Is that weird?
What is the truth? And it remains to be seen. Maxwell was convicted in 2022 for a role in the scheme to sexually exploit and abuse multiple girls, Epstein, over the course of decades. Obviously, she has a very sketchy background as well. Her father was a spy and was Mossad and was connected to British intelligence and a ton of other intelligence agencies. Ghislaine Maxwell sort of is the key holder and the last piece of physical evidence. So you saw that they obviously had Virginia Roberts killed. That's what I believe. She was a piece of living evidence, you know, to all of these crimes. Maxwell argues that she should have been protected from prosecution as part of a non-prosecution agreement made by Epstein, her former lover and boss, in 2007, when he agreed to plead guilty to 2 minor charges for prostitution and a sweetheart deal.
How convenient for him.
Now, controversy continues to rage over the Department of Justice statement that there was no Epstein client list and the release of the videos in New York's Metropolitan Correctional Center, which the DOJ says proves he committed suicide. It proves absolutely nothing, by the way. If anything, it proves the opposite. Critics
do you think it's because she could name anyone now, and if no lists exist, everyone's on the chopping block? I think that you're actually bringing up a very good point, and you shouldn't listen to what she says. I mean, she is a, you know, pedophile child trafficker, right? So, like, this should not necessarily be a beacon of morality. But at the same time, if she can provide evidence for what she's saying, then I think that's, like, I wouldn't just go off of her word. Like, I agree with you. Like, you shouldn't just go and listen to what she said. Be like, oh, it's all true. No, you're right. But, like, at the same time, like, you should start, trust but verify.
Pointed to the fact that there's a critical missing minute. There's also a bunch of people going in and out. You also can't see Jeffrey Epstein's cell block, much less his door. The entire thing is absurd, right? The entire release is absurd. The scandal alleges a cover-up that prompted a rebellion against President Trump's loyal MAGA base, and that's a real problem. Some believe Attorney General Pam Bondi should be fired, including Dan Bongino, who's threatened to quit. On Saturday night, President Trump hosted a rebuttal, saying, "For years, Epstein, over and over again, why are we not giving publicity? Why are we not giving publicity to the files written by Obama?"
I feel so happy that he fucks this shit up too. Thank God. Like, I do this all the time.
Comey, Brennan, and the losers of the Biden administration. Why are we not giving publicity to the files written by Obama?
I feel so happy that he fucks this shit up too. Thank God. Like, I do this all the time.
Comey, Brennan, and the losers of the Biden administration. The Epstein cover-up was also the main topic of conversation among this weekend's Student Action Conference, including myself. Sharon Allen, an attendee, told NBC News, "It's not about Pam Bondi to me. It's about, look, Trump elected, you were elected, and you were supposed to be different. So prove to us that you're different by exposing the predators," right?
Yes, true.
A source close to Maxwell told the Daily Mail that the former girlfriend of Epstein, who continues to protest her innocence, would welcome the chance to sit in front of Congress and tell the story.
She would welcome the chance. That's a lot.
She could appear digitally, right, from the courthouse. This happens regularly.
It's
from inside of the jail.
Boring.
She could appear digitally. Maybe they
boring. Donald's content president. You got to have her there in person. You have to have her there in person. Like, again, you have her there in person, make her wear red, and then give her a list that looks like a book. Like, that's what you have to do. Like, I'm telling you, like, that's the best outcome. Live stream. Yeah, live. 100% live.
Send her with a guard. The source said congressional hearings have been held from everything from JFK's assassination to the Epstein files.
Nothing on it.
Ghislaine Maxwell would be willing to speak to Congress to tell her story. Maxwell is also fighting to have her appeal heard at the Supreme Court. July 14th, lawmakers in the U.S. government would submit their responses in plea to the Supreme Court to take up her case. President Trump's former first buddy, Elon Musk, sensationally claimed the cover-up is because of President Trump. Maxwell, the source close to Maxwell says it's a false flag. Interesting. President Trump was photographed with Epstein several times. They ran in the same circles, but Trump was one of the first to break contact with Epstein over Epstein's mistreatment of women.
Oh, hold up. Because they fell out over a business deal. We're missing this part right here. So like, yeah, no, it was definitely that too, but it was also this. Yeah, that's a bit of context, right? I mean, so, and he should, hey, yo, you should not, and that's the thing. You shouldn't have fucked with them. You shouldn't have been making up that bullshit. Sex business? Yeah. Trump doesn't like mistreating people. I guess so. Is Trump defending the orange guy on this one? Am I defending the orange guy? I'm not defending or not. This isn't defending. What? Were you retarded? You
Apparently, this just happened less than 24 hours ago. Denims sacrifices their Reddit and Discord mods to save her own skin. Denims has sold her community out, sold her biggest defenders out to save herself. And if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know from someone a part of the Hassan Orbiter, someone like Denims herself are all pieces of shit, I don't know what will. Let's get into it. Ditched her community the moment it was convenient, the moment she could have helped anyone else besides herself? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She fucked over here. Tier 3 subs. God, he's so handsome. He's so handsome. Hey.
As predicted, the disloyalty is already shining through.
Yep. We're going to turn it up a little bit.
In the Ethan Klein lawsuits.
Is anybody surprised, guys? Is anybody surprised? Type 1 if you're surprised. Type 2 if you're not.
Denims throwing the Reddit and Discord mods under the bus immediately in one of her first court filings, sacrificing them to the legal corn of the Ethan Klein lawsuit. Of course, I mean,
I want to remind you that this woman has made hundreds of thousands of dollars of selling her body for money to these very people, and then is now throwing people who have no money, no livelihood, no jobs to the jackals, the people that she has supported and said, yes, continue to do this, continue to do this, continue to do this. And the moment she had an opportunity to fuck them over to save her own skin, she did it because she reacts to all the content. She encourages everything they're saying. But now that there's a punishment for her, all of a sudden she's against it. That's crazy, right? She threw away her own community. Hey guys, are you enjoying being a Denims fan now? This is great, huh? And don't worry, guys. Hassan will never do that to you, too. Don't worry about it, guys.
Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is Legal Minds, where we teach you to be your own judge.
And here's what they need to do to all of their Discord mods, to all of their Twitch mods, to all of the Reddit mods. You better take those DMs that you have of them, and you better give them to anybody who asks for them to save your own skin, because they would do the exact same thing to you. So you better get ahead of it. You better get ahead of it, because they're coming after you legally if you do not do something about this.
Already we are having updates in this case. Now, we've had the multiple cases, obviously, Denims, Frogan, and Casey Tron, and we're going to be following those bit by bit.
I genuinely love it.
As I've said, in the legal world, in the legal jungle,
and if you don't want to deal with any of these other streamers' nonsense, just go in there and type W Tectone or Tectone Goat, and you'll get banned immediately anyway. So enjoy that. Thanks, Ludwig.
Is every man or woman for themselves. Now, many people like to talk about, one for all for one. We're all in this together. We're all part of a big community. And
we're all in this together until it becomes any inconvenience to me whatsoever. And then you're underneath the bus. Ain't that right, guys?
That may be well and good in the realm of feelings or in the realm of streaming or whatever else. But once you're in the courtroom legally, whether you like it or not, these defendants are all in it for themselves.
Yep. Can I tell you someone who's not in it for themselves? Andrew Esquire. Can I tell you why that is? I can now prove to you why Andrew Esquire is not doing his channel for clout. He is not doing his channel for money. I have undeniable proof. Guys, if he were to have made this video literally 1 second longer and made it an 8-minute video, this video would have received 120% more ad revenue. But unless you make it to 8 minutes, you can't put a mid-roll. So this guy literally is doing this just in the name of justice. This is a great man, bro. This is a great man.
That's why each defendant will need to have their own individual counsel, because ultimately their responsibility to defend themselves falls on solely them. They can't rely on these other people. And I know that maybe these Discord mods, these Reddit mods look looked at Frogan and saw these massive legal funds. They saw all this money in those legal funds, and they thought that was going to go to help them as well. They thought that would help their case, that would help them fight back against what they want to fight back against. That's not happening at all. And we have receipts today showing that Denims has already done this. So in this court filing, in this case, of course, TED Entertainment, that's Ethan Klein. I'll just refer to TEI as Ethan Klein, California Corp against Alexandra Marwer Saber, aka Denims, and the Does 1 through 10, which are the mods. So this is a joint stipulation granting plaintiff, that's Ethan, leave to serve third-party subpoenas prior to the Rule 26F conference. So what this is Ethan Klein wanted an expedited subpoena against these mods. So he's trying to fast-track subpoenaing these mods. And this is not something that is necessarily 100% granted all the time. There are things they could fight back. There are things they could push back against. And this isn't something they necessarily have to agree to. But when you look at it here, when you look at the actual document and you see what happened, these guys talk. So obviously Ethan Klein and the attorneys for Denims had a conversation after Denims was served with a complaint.
It's essentially,
Denims
we want this
received the
information and you legally have to give it to us.
The list of everything that Ethan Klein is alleging against Denims. They contacted Ethan Klein's lawyers to discuss preliminary matters related to the case. Here's the sauce. The counsel for Klein responded to the counsel for Denims and explained their intention to file an ex parte application for expedited discovery. So faster than normal discovery against Reddit and Discord for obtaining personal information. So we're talking names, emails, whatever information that Reddit and Discord have, any information they have.
Yeah, these victims, in their minds, Denims and Frogan and Casatron, they need to settle immediately. Because the moment that this gets to discovery, I mean this generally, their lives and their careers are over. Straight up. They need to be on their knees begging it does not make it to discovery. They will be absolutely fucked bad. Once again, their next video will be on Pornhub called Ethan Klein Fucked Us legally.
They're going to turn it over. Of the H3 Snark mods prior to the conference of the council under Federal Rule Procedure 26F.
What's a snark?
The counsel for Denims
So you're not some kind of a retard, are you?
Contact with Epstein over Epstein's mistreatment of women.
You're not a retard, are you? You're not a retard.
Okay. There are no big shocks about President Trump and the Epstein files, but there are a lot of powerful men involved and a lot of money, and they got to follow the money.
Yeah.
The Department of Justice also said that no one else is likely to be prosecuted in relation to the Epstein case, including Prince Andrew.
Why not?
And Donald Trump got invited to England literally this morning. Donald Trump's going to make a state visit to England this morning.
Yeah.
Got it. Prince Andrew has consistently and vehemently denied all the actions against him. This Guthrie committed suicide this last year. This is Virginia.
It's crazy how many of the people that are involved in this situation killed themselves. I guess they must all feel really guilty. That must be it.
Roberts. Okay, got it. There's photos of Ghislaine Maxwell and Virginia Roberts and Prince Andrew. She says
that's the reason.
Ghislaine Maxwell trafficked her to Prince Andrew. So
of course.
Why wouldn't Ghislaine Maxwell, why wouldn't you call her in to testify? This is going to be a great test for Republicans in Congress, and also a good out for the Trump administration.
I think he's right. He's right about this. Benny, 100% right. Is that I think that every single person, this is what I think that we should push for right now. Every person in Congress needs to come out in support of this. And the people that don't, I wonder why. Daily Mail is fake. This has been reported by too many different sources than for it to be fake. It would have been verified at this point, especially after this being out now for nearly 24 hours. I feel like it's probably not fake.
How you get rid of something like this. If you bring in Ghislaine Maxwell, you show transparency. You should totally do this. We should totally do this. This is a great idea. Here's Ghislaine Maxwell. She's spoken very, very little, obviously.
Yeah.
But here's Ghislaine Maxwell in a recorded line from her prison saying what she thinks about Epstein. And here's Tim Burchett, ladies and gentlemen, member of Congress, saying why he thinks the Congress won't do this. Here we go.
What's he saying?
No, he didn't. I don't believe he did. I believe that he was murdered. Well, I was shocked. No one wondered how it had happened. Because as far as I was concerned, he was going to... I was sure he was going to appeal. And I was sure that he was covered under the non-prosecution agreement.
You thought he was good? Are you? What do you mean you thought he was good? How could you think this?
Yeah.
But I wasn't in the indictment. So I wasn't mentioned. I wasn't even one of the co-conspirators.
And too many of my colleagues, I'm afraid, are compromised in this area for whatever reason. Somebody's whispered in their ear.
That's right, brother. That's right. You got to hold them accountable. Let them know. That's right.
Hey, you don't want something to come out on something else. You better keep your mouth shut on this. And that's exactly what they've done. And it continues to go, whether it's the honeypot that the Russians used to use or something worse. I don't know, but it's clearly, you see that up and down the line. You see good conservatives vote for liberal policies.
So you're saying that right now, currently ongoing in our Congress, there are members of Congress who have been compromised by either special interests or the intelligence community to not give the American public information on Jeffrey Epstein?
I believe so. 100%. 100%. I want to tell you one quick thing. I know it's a little different, but I've been involved in the UFO UAP issue, and it's, like I said, I'm not going to bring out little green men and a flying saucer, but it's about transparency. I had an amendment on the FAA reauthorization bill.
Name them. Name them. I really hate how everybody is going and talking about how this is going to come out, and all these people are compromised and all this shit's happening. But then just name, at least put somebody's name out there, because all they need to do, the thing is that all you need to do is have one domino fall, and then I think that things will kind of collapse around after that.
Let's say if an American pilot sees a UAP, an anomaly or something, and they make a report to the FAA, that report has to be made available to Congress. I was told by the whip.
That's crazy how fast he went from this to UFOs, bro. This is a speedrunner. I've never seen this before.
What happened to my amendment? And he said, it was killed by the intelligence community. And I said, you mean the intelligence committee? And he said, no, the intelligence community. It was not even brought up. And these are unelected bureaucrats that have that much control. And so, we got to start electing people with guts in both parties. This pandering stuff that's going on now, it's just a distraction.
Find out who it is. They got to find out who it is. And as soon as you start putting out names and stuff like that, the thing is that it's easy how people know these, but they're all afraid to talk. Yeah, you know what I think it is? I'm going to be real. I think half of them are lying. I think they're just saying this bullshit just to act like they know what's going on, to make people that they disagree with or dislike look bad. I think a lot of them are lying, bro. I'll link you all the video. This is a Benny Johnson video. I've been watching his stuff for a bit now, and I really like him. I think he's great. And yeah, there it is. There's a video right there. Give it a like. And everyone's lying. I don't think they're all lying. They've been milking it for years. Yeah, definitely. Why do you think Hunter Biden is still free? Everybody knows why. It's because he's he's the son of the president. That's the reason why. We all know why. And so, no, I really think so. And you put one name, that person will immediately start throwing others under the bus. Yeah, exactly. And again, I'm telling you, the way that the way to handle this is that, see, I think that only somebody I always thought Trump, this is one thing I thought about Trump. I always thought Trump was a scumbag, psychopath, narcissist, mob boss. And that's why I really thought that maybe he could do some good. Is because that's what I would want to have, right? That's what I wanted. That's what I was looking for. We were going for that. And so If anybody knows how to deal with these people, it has to be Donald. And if he doesn't know how to deal with them and he can't do this, nobody can. Nobody fucking can. And so that's the real problem that I have. He's got to fix this? Yeah, like, because he's one of them? Exactly. Well, like, that doesn't, like, you act like that's some kind of like like that, then he would know. Then he would know. Yeah, exactly. Elon can, maybe, right? Musk has it too, but he can't run for president, right? He can't run for president. He can't do that. And so that's it. I'm thinking, what the fuck happened to WikiLeaks? So I guess where lies the corruption. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, like, that's what I was hoping for. A lot of people might think that's crazy for me to say, to vote for somebody because I think they're insane. But that's the only thing that I think will solve this problem, is an insane person. And that's it.